form that you've, knee-jerk response, that you've responded very silly or said the wrong thing or whatever. How many times have we said the wrong thing and thought, wish I hadn't said that, or wish I'd said it a little differently to have a different impact? You didn't pause. You reacted super fast based on some sort of superficial thing, and you wish you had done it differently, and that's where the pause comes into effect. To stop just for a second, develop the habit of doing that, and then it becomes commonplace, where it'll be all the time. This increases stability of character. When you do that on a regular basis, then, I think that's what they call maturity. When you start being more stable, and I may never be mature by those grounds because I still hang on too much to my childlike, playful, creative sort of mind. I enjoy it too much. So for me, the pause is important. When I'm making tapes or speaking or whatever I'm doing, the pause is something I learned a long time ago. It allows me to speak for 2 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours, 24 hours at the same level, the same tone, the same amount of excitement or whatever, because I have a little control. It's a pacing instrument. And if the little pauses that I interject just milliseconds in between sentences and voices allows me to think about where I'm going, what I want to say, and do some quick reconnaissance on my attitude as I'm projecting things. So the pause is very, very important. Another area that merits a little bit of attention are habits. And these tendencies we have to do things over and over the same way. We develop habits of how we respond to things. If you're in conversation and you always respond maybe with a little laugh, maybe you know someone that does that. Not picking on those people, it's just what I happen to think of at the moment. It's a common habit in conversation where people kind of giggle when they speak. Like, they're hoping you're going to like them when they say something, I guess, or they're insecure about it or whatever. Well, these habits, tendencies, and predetermined acts that we do, these are the development of corresponding thoughts in our subconscious. And over a period of time, they finally get such a hold on us and a hold on that person that it changes your whole character and it leaves kind of permanent imprint. Well, not permanent, but it makes a forcible imprint on your subconscious. And you start doing everything that way. If a person has a habit all the time, perhaps, of presenting information and acting rather silly or laughing or whatever, then the cause of that you can get to that cause. All these little insignificant thoughts, dreams, and fantasies, they're nourished daily and they're reinforced until they become like demons inside of us and kind of rule our actions. And if you think it's humorous always to say something like Elmer Fudd or make funny things, people talk funny and they do it all the time, If we take that too far, we begin to look at someone like that like they're possessed almost with this concept, like they can't talk any other way, and it becomes almost an irritation. Well, you can get rid of those things. We can destroy these little build-up ideas in ourselves. We can take away the strength from them actually altogether. And you can do this by taking away the idea which caused them originally. You want to rethink a thought and kind of relive it and take it away. Take the strength out of it altogether. Thoughts form our lives. If we think a rich, happy life, we can have one. If we persist in negative and destructive thinking, it's also going to take over our lives and control our future, either way that we want to go. Ancient wisdom says that the master of destiny is man himself. So true. Okay? As you can see here, the overall scheme of what I'm trying to talk about is taking control of your thoughts and learning to control them through well-defined exercises, implanting new thoughts into your mind, new experiences. Think of those who think with strong concentration. They form their life and they obtain great happiness, don't they? When you see successful people, they're generally well-balanced. They're people that kind of go straight ahead. They seem very lucky. They usually kind of glow and they're happy and they're forceful. They have a certain concentration to them. They're always focused on where they're going and what they want to accomplish. Other people, on the other hand, seem to think just the opposite. We have a lot of people who continually are thinking kind of negatively towards life. They seem to always be kind of depressed and disappointed on how things are going and have a general attitude like, gee, life's just so difficult and things are hard for them. Well, that also controls their future, doesn't it? That's just the way things do go for them because that's how they're programming themselves. It's just simply not possible to form any kind of viable philosophy of life if you think negatively, depressed, if you're selfish or faint-hearted sort of person. Because what happens is you develop failures in life, and then one failure in life after another reinforces the idea that your life is a failure. Pretty soon you're convinced of it. Your subconscious becomes programmed to thinking you are a failure, and what do you know you are? Remember, we are what we think. So be careful what you think of yourself, what you think about, and what you project, because these things happen. It's also possible to create kind of a spiritual vertigo. Vertigo meaning from high places you lose your balance and you start getting dizzy and you want to fall off the side of a building or whatever. This can be caused really by this failure syndrome. If you spend too much time thinking in that way where life is always failures and you don't really see how you're ever going to get ahead, at a certain point, you will kind of consume yourself with that kind of negative thinking. And it pulls you kind of into a large abyss or hole of thinking that's thought of as spiritual vertigo. A child, by the way, when a child comes into life and they're not yet aware of danger and spiritual effect overcomes danger with kind of a playful certainty sort of thing, they can see something dangerous could be happening. They don't know about it, so they don't react with fear. A pessimist, however, out of pure naked fear and anxiety, almost or even abruptly, loses any power of resistance and succumbs to the danger, where a child would just playfully fix it, whatever. So you can see when we come into life, we don't have all that programming yet. We haven't built up all of our fears and pessimism and disappointments and so forth. Our subconscious is not filled with all of that programming. So if we find ourselves in life like that, or we're not getting ahead, and we're not going really where we want to go, then reprogramming the subconscious is a pretty good idea, isn't it? Okay? It's the fear. If you're pessimistic and you create fear, then it's just, it just keeps kind of snowballing. You're afraid things aren't going to work. They don't work because you were afraid of it. Then you're convinced, yep, I was right. I can't do this. And then you get, you instill it even farther. So stop that. Only the man who scorns death escapes it, but the despondent one will collect it. It's another old proverb I dug up from someplace. A fearful man and a spiritual failure will never master life, because fear, spiritual indifference, and inactivity over time will destroy all inner security and all will for the positive life. Your inner security, that inner feeling of self-reliance, of confidence that you get from the positive things that happen, the power that you build up, that inner security is the basic requirement for a good formation and utilization of the spirit and the life. It's like building blocks. One of the first things you always want to do when you're off on something is to gain information so you're confident that you can learn it. And then you learn things in steps, just like we do in school, don't we? Again, when you're a freshman, you don't start studying the senior books. You work on the freshman things and you build up to something. We don't get ahead of ourselves. So when you're building the power of your spirit, it's the same way. We first want to develop that inner security, the feeling of confidence that comes from knowledge. Whatever a person's in love with, into that he will be transformed, it says in Billy's book. And that's very true. When an idea takes hold over a person, it then transforms your whole essence. Your whole life then is a result of that spiritual influence. So if you find yourself actually in love with a person, an idea, whatever, you become consumed with that, don't you? And many times we can confuse love with need and other things, and then we kind of dump this, to use a word, on other people, and we can get slightly misled. This is something we need to be kind of careful with. It's through the constant schooling of the spiritual self that we rise to the highest quality of our lives. We need to constantly reinforce our spiritual self, that it's doing well, that it's okay. We build up this power of thinking, of being positive, of being confident. And once we do that, we add new knowledges and new experiences to it. And we're starting to create a very self-reliant, confident person that can accomplish anything